All right, hello, and welcome back to another edition of Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio on a beautiful Thursday afternoon in Newburyport. Hope you're all doing all right out there. My name is Drew Moholland. Hello to everybody watching on the television and watching on the stream, the YouTube stream, the Port Media YouTube stream, which is a great way to watch us. And, of course, thank you to our loyal group of everyday radio listeners here on Joppa Radio as well. We do this show every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, trying to bring in just interesting guests. We have done that again today. More on that in just a moment. But also, we would like to mention that you can follow the show at Joppa Afternoons, at Joppa, Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. Good way to stay interactive with the show, ask any questions for our guests, yada, 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 all that good stuff. So, a lot going on in the world. I would like to start by giving a congratulations to the Newburyport girls lacrosse team, who's we kind of did a show about them on Tuesday because they were making a great run to the state tournament. That run ended the other night, losing in the state semifinals. It was a close game, came down to the end, but Newburyport girls lacrosse officially eliminated the other night with their game at Babson College, and just wanted to give a shout out to them. You know, they had 2 undefeated regular seasons back-to-back, an incredible accomplishment, and the run ended the other night. But I think people maybe start to take that for granted when you have so much dominance over, a few years span. And just what an amazing run it was for the Newburyport girls. And, I know it's heartbreaking to lose that late. You always have those state championship dreams, but those things are not easy to win, those state championships. And of course, that was the case the other day as they got eliminated in the state semifinals. We had a couple of the alumni from the Newburyport girls lacrosse on our last show. My plan is here, I didn't want to do it right after the fact. I think taking a moment to let the girls breathe, but maybe next week or the week after, hopefully we'll have a couple representatives of the Newburyport girls lacrosse team. They really brought the community together, rallied them together, and it's just a cool thing when one of your local teams, one of the local high school teams, makes a run like that. So congratulations to the Newburyport girls lacrosse squad. I know it hurts right now getting eliminated in the state semifinals, but they will look back on that as one incredible ride, especially for the seniors. The seniors that now go off to bigger and better things. So that is that. Red Sox in action right now, 2-0 Red Sox over the Twins. It's a day game in Minnesota, as the Red Sox try to salvage one game of the set here with Minnesota. Getaway day. I love day baseball, especially during the week. Baseball is meant to be played in the daytime. They don't play enough day games. I don't think it's good for the game either. You got to get the kids watching in the daytime. I can't even stay up for the 7 o'clock games. Never mind the kids, and these things are ended at 10 and 11 o'clock. So, but Sox winning right now, 2-0. Man, I watched a little bit of this game before I came over here today. The Sox are struggling to hit right now. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep pace with the powerful Yankees, because the Red Sox are not scoring runs like they were at the beginning of the season. Pitching's been pretty good, but They're just even right as I walked in. Sox had the bases loaded, 1 out, 2-0 game, chance to kind of blow it wide open. And at the end of the fifth, it remained 2-0. So Sox are not swinging the bats well, and they're not putting teams away. But at least they have a lead right now in Minnesota. I'll keep you posted on that as the day goes along here. That game will be kind of coming down the stretch during today's show. So, and then they come back home. So for those of you who want to catch a Sox game here, this will be the first Red Sox homestand with pretty much all the kids out of school. So I don't know, the Fenway should get a little bit busier with young kids with the summer vacation underway, but we shall see. Interesting thing today in the news as well, I don't know if you saw this, the Supreme Court ruled that states can now force online shoppers to pay sales tax. How about that, all you Amazon and eBay, strictly Amazon and eBay buyers? Not exactly sure what that means at the moment for Massachusetts. Again, it becomes a state decision, but it is being viewed as a win for the states, who say they've been losing money in sales tax form to all these online companies. And the Supreme Court actually overruled the previous Supreme Court ruling that said you did not need to have a physical presence in a state. But that changes now when it comes to the sales tax. So that will be interesting to see on that front, how that all plays out here in the months and years to come. How about Boston Mayor Marty Walsh, too? Mayor Walsh is just really on the attack against President Trump. I have heard quotes in several days now from Boston's mayor, and of course, a lot of people have spoken up about the policy that this White House put into effect with taking the kids from their parents at the border, immigration policy, zero tolerance, and but Mayor Walsh just really firing off against President Trump. He did so again last night. He at one point called him an embarrassment to America, and this is even after the fact that the president said that they would no longer be doing the separation of parents and kids, but it, of course, a lot has to be done now too. You have all these kids in detention centers already, and there's really no immediate plan at the moment to get them back together. So obviously that is a politically hot topic, to say the least. It is everywhere. You can't go on Twitter, you can't go on Facebook without seeing some sort of reference to that. So obviously it's an interesting time in politics, to say the least, and certainly here on Beacon Hill, we had the rally on Beacon Hill. I don't know if you saw that yesterday at noontime, I think noontime or 12:30. Went to the State House steps, protesters to protest it, and you saw a lot of that all over the country here during the week. So and an interesting survey out today, an incredibly low number. A quarter of Americans, only a quarter of Americans are satisfied with their savings, and like this incredibly low number of Americans, I think it was around a quarter again, have only enough savings, don't have enough savings for 5 months. It was a bank rate firm that does a lot of these things, but I don't know. If you think about it, you're good for 5 months if you lost your job today. I don't know if most of us are. It seems like when bills get in the way, and maybe you get a mortgage or all that stuff. I don't know. Maybe kids get more expensive. It seems like a lot of Americans maybe are not good if they were to suddenly, surprisingly get fired and need to have 5 months of savings. So I don't know. It's an interesting study. Those things to think about. Be prepared financially, makes life easier. But interesting study if you read that today. It's on a bank rate. They took a look at it. So, and what else is in the news? I feel like I had one other thing I wanted to talk about. Boston traffic just keeps getting worse and worse, doesn't it? I drive in overnights to work, so I'm up early before any of you get on the road. Even with me, there's like sometimes we're down to one lane and things are slow because all the work crews are out there. But it always seems like we're doing work on Boston roads, and it never seems like the traffic is getting better. I just don't know. And here we go, AAA expecting a record number of people to hit the roads for the 4th of July weekend, and it's supposed to be a big summer travel season as well. AAA coming out with all their numbers. They do this every year. They start predicting who's going to hit the roads and how many people, and it seems to just keep growing and growing. Too many people on the roads, I say. But anyways, those are some of the headlines of the day. I am very excited about today's show. A couple of return guests, actually. So return guests are always good. I always treat that as a compliment because that means they enjoyed themselves here last time. Today we're going to be joined by Joanne Morris and James Sullivan of the Newburyport Film Fest. They were great last time. They talked about, you might remember the show Bombshell. They're even one of the first guests here to start giving away. They gave away some some tickets on the show, which was pretty cool. I'm not sure if that's in the cards for today, but they are already in the house. We're going to talk about what's coming up here for the summer for them at the Newburyport Film Fest. Joanne Morris and James Sullivan. Why don't I get out of the way, and we will get to that in just a moment here on Afternoon Drive, and bring those two in here in just a moment. So Tyler Neufield's our radio producer today, David Kramer on the TV side. Let's get on with it. Enough about me. We'll get on to our two great guests, Joanne Morris and James Sullivan, here in just a moment when we continue with Afternoon Drive. Appreciate you starting your Thursday with us. Last show of the week. Weekend's just about here, folks, so hang on in there. My name is Drew Moholland. Keep it here. We'll be right back.
About the things you do, and you don't care about the hurt you caused. And sometimes I don't think you think at all. You don't think at all. Do the right thing when it comes to the heart. Do the right thing even if it falls apart. Do the right thing even if it hurts sometimes. Tell me the truth. Do the right thing. This is something I need to say. This can't wait for another day. Time tells stories we don't want to hear. Stories can bring on fear. Do the right thing when it comes to the heart. Do the right thing even if it falls apart.
Penobscot, deep in the heart of Maine, sat a house upon east.
All right, welcome on back to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. A happy Thursday afternoon to you. It is a beautiful first day of summer here in Newburyport. Sun is shining. Really not a cloud in the sky. Although I just saw Eric Fisher, the Boston meteorologist, did point out one cloud in the sky, and he just wrote on Twitter, "Good job, cloud, ruining it." It's like that yesterday was so much better commercial, if you remember that from back in the day when the one cloud comes across for 5 seconds. But anyways, getting out of my own way there for a second. We are joined today by Joanne Morris and James Sullivan of the Newburyport Film Fest. Return guests, guys. We don't have too many return guests at this. We're in a small group, so that's a good thing. Congratulations. Return guests. Good to see you guys again. How are you?
It's rare air.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. Yeah, and I mean, it's it's great to see you again. You guys are about to get well. Here, you told me last time you're always busy, but summertime doesn't no days off, right? It's like Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
We're always gearing up for the actual festival, which is always in September. So summer gets busy for us. Yes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So what's on tap? Let's just start there. Nuts and bolts. What do people need to know if they're going to come check out some cool stuff?
Well, we actually are launching a new website, a new logo. It's gonna be a big event on Saturday night.
Who's in charge of that?
Joanne is.
We're all working busy behind the scenes, but
Yeah.
we're going to celebrate on Saturday night at 7 o'clock at the Greek Orthodox Church. And we have Taste of Newbury food stations. We have raffle stations. We're going to have entertainment with Ben Aramo, a local pianist.
Nice.
So we'd love to see as many people as possible.
Ben is the guy who sings Billy Joel songs. He was a Triton student until recently who's been doing Billy Joel songs for several years already.
Strictly Billy
really
Joel.
Really good, really fun.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Actually, he does a little bit of Elton John, but he's basically his band is basically a Billy Joel tribute band.
Gotcha. This isn't like that movie from that scene from that movie where it's like strictly 80s Billy Joel, is it? What,
no, it's, the whole range. The whole range. Right.
Very good.
But so we're basically relaunching. We've been around for 13 years. Is that right?
13.
Wow.
But we're sort of doing a relaunch for a number of reasons. New website, new logo, year-round programming. So we're, for the first time, we're really committing to doing periodic films throughout the year, in addition to the weekend festival each September.
That is cool. What makes you start with the website? I know I think it's an obvious answer, but a lot of people are being driven to websites these days. So, what made you change the logo and all that stuff?
I know, how did it
You
all
want to talk about
happen?
Matter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We're partnering with Matter Communications.
Okay.
That's another thing we're going to be announcing. So they stepped up and offered to help us out with promotion. But we had also heard from a resident, Newburyport resident, who does a lot of branding. So he offered to help with the logo, and that's Charlie Icon.
Charlie Icon.
His
okay.
name is
Yeah.
Charlie Kahn, and his company is Icon.
Oh, nice.
Plug-in.
Right.
I see what he did there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that started the ball rolling. We said, wow, great new logo. So from there, obviously, we have to redo the website, and I met another local person through the Chamber of Commerce, and she's helping us out, and then Matter got involved. So I feel like it's all perfect storm.
So Matter is a media marketing company, right? And they have been kind enough to offer to help us sort of improve our outreach. So it's
Nice.
It's a great partnership for us.
Important for you guys because last time we talked, you talked about how many of your films came in from, a lot of them are local, but a lot of them are not, and coming in from all across the world. And I'm sure you're getting a lot of interest, not just locally, but globally even. So obviously a big thing for you.
Well, we've been, we think showing really good films and putting on a great weekend, every year since we started. But where we've probably, could have needed the help over the years is with sort of promoting ourselves, patting ourselves on the back, letting people know what we do. I mean, like we've been putting really good films up and having a lot of great guests and conversations after the films and that sort of thing. But really for the first time. I mean, we have a small circle of people who put this thing together every year.
Yeah.
So for the first time, we have some sort of professional, PR help stepping up for us, which is pretty exciting.
Seems like that might make life a little bit easier for you guys too, as far as kind of isolating that to somebody else, maybe, right?
Yes, absolutely. Freezes up for other stuff. But
Cool.
And the other thing we're doing is launching a donor program as well to get more sponsors involved. We have some moderate, but we'd love to ramp that up even more to get more financial assistance. Would be fantastic.
Cool. All right. Well, very good. We'll talk a little bit more about what's coming up here as we go. I am curious. Let's do a little recap. We talked a lot about Bombshell last time. Seemed like a big success. We were talking a little bit about it off the air, but why don't you give us a little recap on Bombshell? How did it go?
So on May 20th at the Firehouse, we did one of our regional films, and we showed Bombshell, the Hedy Lamarr story, which told this amazing story about this Hollywood actress who was actually an inventor at night and responsible for Bluetooth and GPS. Never got a penny for it, but it was a really good turnout, 119 people. And
it's a great number, right?
Yeah.
At the Firehouse.
Feels like a great number.
Firehouse.
Yeah.
What's their capacity? 175 or so,
yeah,
right?
188.
So that's a pretty full room
Yeah.
at the Firehouse. And, Hedy Lamarr was a well-known Hollywood star in the 1940s era, but it's much less well known that she was also essentially a scientific genius and invented things that are still in use today. And so it's that was a good example of the kinds of stories that documentaries can tell that you can't really be told anywhere else.
Yeah, do you find that crowd that comes out is, besides when you give away tickets, but do you find that crowd is mostly a crowd that is pretty knowledgeable about the subject, or a crowd that comes trying to learn, maybe just, I don't know anything about it, but it sounds interesting, let's see what this is all about?
It depends. I mean, it depends film to film, but I think there were plenty of people there who, are Hollywood film, older film buffs who, knew her as a movie star and were intrigued by the rest of the story. But we definitely had some younger people there too who just thought, like you did, that it sounded pretty neat. It sounded like a pretty great story, and that's true for all the films. I mean, I think we tend to draw from all over for those same reasons. I mean, we'd certainly draw, depending on what the film's about, whether it's about animals or, some kind of history thing or, current events or whatever. We certainly have a core crowd that's coming out specifically for that, who already know something about the subject, or are already invested in it. But then, the rest of the seats we hope to fill up with people who just find it intriguing and don't really know much about it, but found the idea of the film intriguing enough to want to come check it out.
Makes for a nice balance, certainly. And you guys did the same structure you usually do. You did the question and answer thing afterwards, which that's always, I always love that part about these things. But
we actually Skyped in the director too.
Wow.
And it worked. So
you seem shocked.
No, I mean, it was the first time we had done that, and so kudos to the Firehouse. We pulled it off, and it was pretty amazing. The audience I think they really enjoyed the interaction because they turned the screen so she could see us, and we were throwing questions at her. And we had 2 other panel members as well who were questioning.
Right, a couple of local filmmakers that have had films in our festival before, and they're also they also write about film, so they knew the Hedy Lamarr story pretty well, and they were able to speak to that. And then the director, Alex, as Joanne said, she couldn't. Where does she live? She's
in New York.
She's in New York. She couldn't get here. We do have often enough. I mean, every year when we do the festival, we tend to have 8 or 10 directors out of 20-ish films who show up, who can be here, talking about their films afterwards, and helping us present them to the audience. And obviously, offering something other than just watching the film. You get to hear the director talk about it afterwards. She couldn't be here, but she, we did make that Skype thing happen. It was fun because she was projected on the big screen. So her Skype face was as big as the film was.
That is funny. And any delay with that thing, or Skype's pretty much real time, right?
It actually came. It was actually good.
That is great. So there you go. This is a good little backup plan. Worked once, probably worked twice now, right? Very exciting. Well, I know you guys wanted to promote a little bit more about the upcoming show, and I think, did you say you have another giveaway here? Or
we do have another giveaway.
All right, I won't hit you with it. I'll let you explain it. I won't try to do anything, but I'll let you make the pitch here. Go for it.
So our event in, again, Saturday night, it costs $25 to get in advance, or if you come that night, it's $30. So
Okay.
we'd love to give away a ticket to someone. And then when you get there, as I said, you get free food. This Taste of Newburyport, we'll talk about that in a second, all the fun stations. 20 raffles. You can win amazing prizes worth up to $400 for just buying a little raffle ticket. And then Ben. So all of that for a small price of $25. And we're happy to give away a ticket to someone.
Wow, excellent. All right, so we will we'll do the same thing we did last time. I will put out a tweet here when I get a second during the show, and whoever
Okay.
responds to it first, I'll put you in touch with these guys, and there you go. You're the winner. The last winner was pretty funny. I know you guys
Yeah.
met him, or you did, Joanne,
I
right?
did,
You
yeah. We took
yeah.
a picture of him. He was so proud. He had his wife there, and he's like, I never win anything. So we were
You told
excited.
me that, too. That was
And
his
he said
only
he's going to
exchange.
try for this one, too. So, I mean, I said, that's fine.
Ooh, I wonder if there needs to be a
I know.
no return.
Disclaimer. Disclaimer.
I
Have your
think
wife call.
I think we're gonna have to say a different winner. I think. Oh, all right. I don't
No,
know.
I'm kidding.
Joanne's saddened by this. But I'll make it clear before the tweet whether we can have the same winner. Some of the people are, you never know. Some of the people watch it on the reruns during the week more than they do in real
yeah.
time because it's if you're working at 3 o'clock. So it's I guess I kind of want to give more people a chance, but I don't know. Well, I'll think about
Yeah,
this as we go
okay.
on. The tweet has not been put out yet, so
Yes.
nobody can do anything at the moment.
The lines are not open yet. Yeah.
Yeah, lines are not open yet. That's right. And does the summer obviously it doesn't get less busy for you guys? It seems it almost is. This
No.
is a 12-month a year job for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's busier in the summer because
Yeah.
those 3 months before the festival is when you're picking the films. And once you
Yeah.
pick the films, can the filmmakers come? And then it's...
Are you always carving out time to do that? Like it seems like that probably is always something you have to have in your back pocket, just some time to look at all these films.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, there's
There's
that.
a small core of us who look at, well, Joanne looks at everything, and then there's a small core of us who look at the films that we think are worthy of consideration, and then we try to meet once a month or so through the spring, basically.
Just to stay in contact on it.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
we compare notes and discuss whether we, how we all felt about them, and in a lot of cases, we all sort of tend to say, yeah, I don't think so, or yes, we all really like that one, let's consider it, or let's keep it in mind for booking it. But then there's certainly times where, two of us like something and two don't like it quite so much, and then we have the fun debates.
We do a little, I don't know, horse dealing or whatever.
Right.
Well, that must be exciting. I think we should probably get in there and film that one of these
It
days.
is,
One of
it
those
is
good,
fun. A
one of those good
documentary
disagreements.
on our film festival. That's what I say.
Yeah, a documentary. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Somebody must have thought of that already. Come on.
I know. And we have a set number of slots, so basically we can have 16 features, and then we'll probably do 3 shorts blocks, and depending on how long the short is, it could be 3 to 4.
Yep.
So we have a number we're working toward as well. And then you have to slot them in because some documentaries are 50 minutes and some are over 2 hours. So
Yep.
it becomes a logistical matter as well. So it's
So
fun.
you guys do all these different, regular performances throughout the year and all these different screenings, but I mean that is the core thing,
Yeah.
right? That's the
Right, the
so
September
Yeah.
Festival.
right the big September festival. So I mean that's kind of a lot of pressure on you guys too to get the right 16, right? I mean, do you ever have that couple that you just wish were in there?
Yeah.
You thought maybe deserved it and they
Yes.
just didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that sometimes we get, depending on what's in the air culturally, sometimes we kind of tend to get a few different films that seem to be almost about the same thing,
Yeah.
and you can't show 3 films that are sort of on the same subject.
Yeah.
Whether it's, a recent political campaign or some, social issue.
Are there a lot of topics on that front to talk about politically, or?
It's funny the first year,
days.
last year there weren't as many because I think it takes a little longer, but
Right.
this
Yeah.
year there's quite a few.
Every day there's something. Jeez.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And then the other thing is, right, I mean, I think that lots of people who are not sort of veteran documentary film watchers tend to think of documentary film as like doing
Yeah.
your homework. Like, okay, you're going to put me through social studies class. And there are films like that, but then there's plenty of quirky documentaries and fun documentaries and documentaries about music and documentaries like the Hedy Lamarr film Bombshell that are just unique historical
Yeah.
subjects. So there's all kinds of, basically I sometimes say it's like everything under the sun can be the subject of a documentary. So one of the tricks is to not sort of load up the whole schedule with a bunch of heavy, like we have a film about abortion rights and a film
Yeah.
about, the healthcare debate and,
Yeah.
that stuff. I mean, yes, we certainly have films like that, but then we also we need to sort of balance that out with quirkier films or nature films or, contemplative films or, little individual intimate stories about one person or a family or whatever so to spread it out to make it feel
So
like
while it's a
balance.
contest, you guys are also thinking it's a show that you're putting on too, almost.
yeah.
So it's almost like a set list sort of thing.
Yeah.
You got to find the right
Yes,
balance.
it's exactly like that. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Again, we're joined here by Joanne Morris and James Sullivan of the Newburyport Film Fest, return guest here on Joppa Radio, as they get ready for their June 23rd event at the Greek Orthodox Church. That's the next thing, and we're talking a bit about the Newburyport Film Fest as well. Can you guys give us what are the rules with this? Can you give us any looks at what are some of the films that are kind of gaining your attention already? Or
We have
is
3
it-
that are pre-accepted.
You can talk about.
Yeah,
I mean, we haven't made the final decision on very many, but we have a small handful that are sort of our slam dunks this
can you
year.
give us a sneak peek on those? Or
We have one, Rodents of Unusual Size. Speaking of quirky, it's
Okay.
about, have you heard of a nutria?
a nutria? I
big
don't think so.
rat.
It's a huge rat that lives in Louisiana, in the swamps in Louisiana, essentially.
They were brought
An
over from
amphibious rat.
yeah,
They're brought over from South America,
for someone was going to make mink coats with them in 1903 or
and
something.
then they proliferated, and now it's sort of like there's a major problem.
Oh wow.
I actually lived in New Orleans for a year, years and years ago, and we used to take visitors on what they called swamp tours, which was literally getting a small boat with some guy who's a tour guide in an hour or two outside of New Orleans and tour around the swamps and see how people live out there. And you can see the nutria. They're like beaver. They're like
Wow.
big, very, very heavy rats.
I don't think I've ever heard of a nutria.
and
That
they
is
pay
fascinating.
you. They pay you $5 for everyone you shoot.
Really?
Right.
They're trying to-
There's
They're
like
gonna
an
get rid of 'em, yeah.
eradication program. Right.
You just bring the tail in,
Right.
and they pay you $5.
So that film is made by a guy who has made other quirky documentaries
And one was in our festival, the Salt and Sea one.
right.
So that was how many years ago you lived in New Orleans and saw these things?
Oh, I lived there almost 25 years ago.
And that was beginning to be a problem when you were there? Or?
Oh, it was already.
It was already a problem.
Yeah, I think they brought the nutria. I think
Yeah.
they introduced they weren't indigenous to Louisiana,
Yeah.
and somebody brought them up. What for? Like taking care of some kind of I forget what it exactly, but like some kind of flora and fauna issue where there was overgrowth of something, and
Yeah.
the nutria would eat it. So they figured we'll put some of these in this, just dump them in the swamps. Brought them up from South America, and then they bred like rats, and now there's tons of them. So it's been a
Wow.
problem for decades, for 50 years or whatever.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, quirky indeed, yes, but also very interesting.
Well, that
That's a-
film, because it
yeah.
sounds gross, because it's about those animals, but it's really about the people who live on the bayou,
Yeah.
on the swamps in Louisiana, which is a totally unique part of the world.
I've never been there myself, but people literally do live
Oh, yeah.
along the swamps, right? I think that's kind of tough to imagine living here in Newburyport, and if you
They
if
have
you,
cabins that are basically cabins in the woods, but they're right at the water's edge, so they're sort of built up on
Yeah.
pylons, or posts, and it's tends to be people who like their privacy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a unique culture for sure.
yeah, different way of living, certainly. So that's a good one to start with, I guess. That was one of the pre-selected ones,
Right? Because
Okay.
it's quirky. We love quirky.
Okay.
Quirky gets in.
And the guy's a really good filmmaker, really good storyteller, and we have had his film. We did have a film of his here at least 10 years ago, right?
Yes.
Is there a lot of that? You get a lot of return filmmakers.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And it takes, it's years. Sometimes it can take 7 or 8 years to do a documentary, but it's so fun when they pop up and you're like, oh, they're ready to come back in. And
Right.
we have
Yeah.
one guy who's actually been in 3 times.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's probably just like making a movie too, right? I mean, sometimes you make one movie for 5 years, and sometimes you make 4 movies in a year or a year and a half. It's
Not
it's
quite 4 in a year, but yeah.
yeah. Maybe that's a little much, but
Well,
but-
we do accept shorts too, and some of them, 4 minutes.
Short films are
short
anywhere from
Yeah, that's true.
4 or 5 minutes to half an
Yeah.
hour, or 40 minutes, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And what else you got on the pre-selected list? You said the 2 other ones, or
Another one is Knife Skills, and it follows this man who was in prison, and when he got out, he decided to redo his life, and he went into the restaurant industry, and basically it saved his life, and he decided to open his own restaurant in Columbus, Ohio, and it is completely staffed by other ex-convicts. He trains them. They go through a program, and they staff the whole restaurant. And many don't get through, many go back to prison, but he still sticks it out. At least I think around 30% of them end up passing and staying with him. So it's a pretty moving film.
Wow, the whole place is convicts, former convicts.
Yeah.
Wow, that is incredible.
And nominated for Academy Award, so we're pretty excited.
Excellent. Well, that's good too. And the third one?
The third one is Black Memorabilia, and that's Chico Colvard. He's been in one other time as well. And he's actually based in Massachusetts. He's a professor, I think, at Mass Art. So that's pretty neat.
Right.
All right.
And this film is about sort of people who collect the old-fashioned, like, figurines and tchotchke kind of things that depict African Americans in what used to be, or continue to be, pretty racist ways,
Yeah.
And so, his story is about the people who still collect that stuff and why. Some of them actually are African Americans themselves who feel like, well, this is a piece of history that needs to be preserved.
Yeah.
And there's various reasons why people are, why collectors are into that stuff, and that's another unique story.
Interesting.
But it also follows it's 3 parts, and one part is in China with this woman who, she and her family actually make these things, and she has it really bothers her conscience, and so it's so interesting, like a world away, she's questioning why they're, and that's all they make. It's just these the same like vase or something.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So there's your 3 pre-selections there for the Newburyport Film Fest.
First time anyone's heard.
How do you become pre-selected? Is that does that still no committee input there? Or,
no. We all were, but
it's committee input. We just sort of if we all tend to agree, sort of.
These are just unanimous. Gotta have
we definitely are keeping a spot for these films. Yes.
Okay.
And then the rest of them are sort of we're weighing them against each other. Basically.
Understood.
But it's also advantageous if you let the filmmaker know as far in advance, because you really want them to come.
So you're hoping those people get there and can have discussions and all that stuff. So
because that means a lot.
Very cool. All right, so we are absolutely flying along. Sometimes when we get going, we really get going here. So we got to take our first little break. Again, we're joined by Joanne Morris here and James Sullivan of the Newburyport Film Fest. The Film Fest is in September, but they have a busy summer even before that, and we're talking a little bit about that today, amongst other things here. So, and we have the ticket giveaway to do too. That'll end up on Twitter. Doors are still not open yet, so stand by on that. We'll take our first break here. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Drive in just a moment. My name is Drew Moholland. Keep it here on a beautiful Thursday afternoon in Newburyport.
If a starved wind gnaw the woods bare, look to the small birds gleaning razor-cold air. In a fence-cornered haven, scatter wild seed. Let no swift move frighten small birds that feed. Through days that drift like ashes and nights of stone, no one who shelters small birds is quite alone.
Nobody thinks I'm bad. I'll be that little voice that's inside your head. I won't make you sad, you know you keep me dead. I will drive you mad, I'll drive you mad. All along I did those things that I was told to do. You're a sweet little angel, couldn't say no to you. Time and time again, you walk all over me. I would just sit and smile, but I'd never let you see me bleed. Never let you see me bleed. Nobody thinks I'm bad. I'll be that little voice that's inside your head. Nobody thinks I'm bad. black and blue from the start. I can see your scars. Let me show you mine. More and more, you begin to know there's a huge little monster deep inside. I cannot help but show. Cannot help but show. Nobody thinks I'm bad. I'll be that little voice that's inside your head. Nobody thinks I'm bad. I'll be that crazy love that you never had. I'll go home and face, stare into my face. My heart will start to race. My heart will race. It's been so long that I've been down, buried underground, but I've come around. Times have changed, and I'm not the same. This night again, no more shame. My mama told me long ago to stand up for myself. She said, son, you're not a big, strong man. Don't let them put you on a shelf. Now, maybe don't get me wrong, and maybe just get me right. I won't be mean. I can only dream. I can only dream. Nobody thinks I'm bad. I'll be that crazy love that you never had. Nobody thinks I'm bad. I'll be that little voice that's inside your head. I won't make you sad, you know you can't be had. I will drive you mad, 'cause I'm so bad.
All right, welcome back to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. I told you I would keep you updated on the Red Sox score. I did a poor job of that, but I will pay it off. It is 8-0 Red Sox.
You updated me.
Yeah, I updated you. Yeah, I just see these guys knew off the air what was going on. 8-0 Red Sox. So that whole thing about the bats falling asleep and struggling lately, just forget about that. That's all they needed was a little bit of me talking, and the Red Sox bats are suddenly awake. So 8-0 right now in Minnesota in the 8th inning. So good news there. Looks like the Sox might salvage a game out of this series with Minnesota. Again, our guests today are Joanne Morris and James Sullivan of the Newburyport Documentary Fest. Adding that word documentary to it now, which I've been not doing here during the show. So all good with that. The Newburyport Documentary Fest. These guys are very busy. We have the event on the 23rd at the Greek Orthodox Church, which we're going to give a ticket away for. I'll do it. I'm going to do that at the end of the show. I've decided to put something on Twitter. We'll take care of that. And we were just talking off the air, guys. This is not the only thing this month for you. At the end of the month, we have something else. I'll let you take it away and brief the powers that be here.
Actually, the end of July, we're going to have the next
End of
film.
July.
Yeah,
Sorry, end of July. Okay.
Yeah, we're busy enough.
You couldn't squeeze one more thing into June, no?
So we'll be doing one more of the quarterly series before the film festival, and it's called Love and Bananas.
Yeah, so it's a film about a woman who's concerned about the plight of African elephants,
African
right?
elephants.
And so the film is basically her, research into the idea that they're being killed off by poachers who want the ivory. And, we often show, a lot of documentaries get made about the animal world and the natural world. And this isn't, and we sort of have a built-in audience for those. I mean, there's certainly animal lovers out there who love a good documentary about animals, and I personally love elephants, and
do you know,
it's a lot of people. So it's a good one.
The day I had you guys on last time, I had the show, the film fest on my mind, and I went and I had a Facebook where somebody had shot an elephant, and posted it on Facebook, and there's like a thing now where a lot of these animal rights groups and all that will end up seeing these things, and while these people are taking pictures and being all proud of the kill, there's a whole other faction of the world that is furious about it, and they end up trying to put the people up there and show this person's face who shot it and try to bring shame to them or whatever. Immediately, it was that night that I had you guys on, and I'm thinking to myself, somebody's going to make a film about this, and there we go. It was, that's too funny. As soon as you started saying that, I was like, I just had a flashback. But
I think didn't the filmmaker say she was going to make a short film, and then she realized that
it couldn't be
the problem?
Yeah.
Maybe she just heard Drew talking about it. And decided, maybe I better speed up and take this footage.
Maybe. You got to be quick on these things. But
rescuing, I think it's a 70-year-old blind elephant. So,
wow.
Yeah. So it's
amazing animals, right?
So it is. It's
so it's
very
about
moving.
the plight of all of the African elephants, but it's also about this one.
Rescue.
So turns into an intimate story that's not just about the whole thing, the whole issue, but also about this one, her bond with this one old.
Right.
How long did it end up being, this short film that wasn't so short?
It's a feature length,
I'm not sure
an hour and a half or so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But now we have to get into the who's going to be on the panel, and I'm not sure if the director comes. So this is the fun part now. We got to put the whole thing together.
Right.
But it was important to pick it because we want to mention it Saturday night to get people excited.
It's, when you get an issue that, like you were talking, a lot of your issues are political these days, which of course, everything is political. Yes. When you get a filmmaker who does present, maybe one side of an issue, do you ever, and maybe that's not the place for it, or maybe it is completely the place for it, I'm not sure. Do you ever maybe try to bring in somebody who brings that counter side to have a debate with the filmmaker, or is it more of an audience thing where?
I think it's more of an audience thing.
Yeah.
One of the things we try to look at when we're deciding what films to show is that if a film is too one-sided and it doesn't have sort of at least some of a journalistic balance towards presenting every angle of the issue, then we're sort of, unless it's really well done, we're sort of inclined not to show it because you need some balance. I mean, plenty of filmmakers have made advocacy documentaries where they're about something, whether it's Al Gore's climate change film or whatever. It's about something. It's clearly advocating on behalf of something and against another way of looking at the same issue. But you got to tell the whole story. You got to at least give some semblance of idea about why some people either disagree with it or don't believe in it or whatever.
Yeah.
And as far as the bringing the filmmakers in, if there's some way to question them or play devil's advocate with them, the audience usually does that. Somebody in the audience will say, I liked it, but whatever.
Yeah.
And that's where they
that
get a
happens
chance
almost
to.
every time out?
No, but I mean, it happens when the film has any semblance of
Controversial,
controversy. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we've had some moments.
Yeah.
I think I kind of want to hear more about those. What's the first one that comes to mind there? The climate change, I would think, would always get somebody.
J Street was about single state.
The sort of
solution.
Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and that one was actually fairly well biased to one side, and there were people who were on
the other side,
who were on the other side and not particularly thrilled with it.
Wow.
And we're asking questions of the filmmaker and the producers, and it was lively.
Lively, nice choice of words. Okay,
but discussion, it's fabulous. It's just they were engaged. I mean, we want to hear sides, and it's funny too. Most of the films you see, exactly where the filmmaker's coming out. But we did show one years ago. It was called Secrecy, and it was about secrets in the government. And fabulous, Rob Moss. It was really fantastic. And you come out of the film, you don't know how the director feels. You really, he does such an amazing job of presenting both sides. He's almost not part of it. I think that was really, really
Right. I mean, some of the
successful
filmmakers definitely sort of go way out of their way to make sure there's that journalistic balance where you can't tell that there's an opinion behind the camera. And then
you have to
others
make your
obviously
own.
have, others obviously are clearly side, the Love and Bananas. She's clearly on the side of the elephants and against the poachers.
Yeah.
So.
That's it. So yeah, you do have to put a little. I mean, you're not the news, so but you do.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting that that is a very serious consideration.
Every documentary is a standalone project, so it's not on behalf of ABC Nightly News or CNN or whatever. It's the filmmaker and their producers' project, so they can handle it any way they want, and you know. And then part of our job is to decide if they've submitted it, whether we want to show it or not.
So that's on your checklist of things as you're going through the possible films. Yeah. What is there what's like the first thing that you look for? Where does entertainment? Did you enjoy the film? Where does that fall on that list? Is
First.
it in the first? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Even if it is a heavy topic or like a intellectual topic or an issue topic or whatever, if it's boring or if it's doesn't have any arc to it, or if it's just sort of like a bunch of people droning on about the same subject or whatever, we're probably not inclined to show. We don't want anybody sort of getting bored a half an hour in and saying, I came and I thought I was going to see something that I was interested in, but it bored me. Yeah.
That's probably not good for business, right? No. What about the? And I'm sure you've had your fair share of those films, right? Where you just said, "I can't take any more of this," and
well, then we don't show them.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys are the ones that have to watch them, though, right? And as far as the screening goes, Do you try to stay through the whole thing to see if it gets better?
Yeah.
She does.
You have to be fair. No, I know. I'm the first.
You're out of there.
I'm the first point.
She's the first line of defense.
I'm the first line.
Gotcha.
No, I'll be honest. If I know that I'm not going to, if I get through 20 minutes of a film and I know it's not going to be the ones that I'm going to advocate for, I'll tell these guys, I'll tell the other people that the team of screeners, that wasn't for me, And if they want to argue otherwise, then I'll certainly listen to them. But that's the boredom thing, If I'm bored in 20 minutes. I'm certainly going to be bored in an hour and 20 minutes.
You lost me at.
Yes.
That is too funny. And how about the, all these, obviously the topics change over the years, and, I'm guessing that you guys probably change over the years too. Have you noticed changes within how you screen films, or are you pretty structured in that way and really maybe haven't changed that much? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty solid, and it has to have high production standards, has to be an interesting story. You have to learn something from it.
There's also new ways films are being made, though, too, right? I mean, I think some people even just make. Didn't we talk about that last time about just making films on your phone with great quality?
Sure.
It's just
technology's changed.
In the last 10 years or so, people have definitely had the ability to shoot video on their phones, and it's high quality enough that you can essentially edit that together and make a film out of it. And it's still not ideal. But it can be done, and it has been done, and. Quality-wise, we get films that are super professionally done. The guy who's made the Nutria film is really good at, framing scenes and creating, just has great texture to the film and everything. And then there are other documentaries that certainly are sort of shot from the hip and, different types of filming process, and some of it is done on phones or whatever was available, and that doesn't mean that the film is lower quality. It might be extremely well edited and told, and just depends on the subject and how they pulled it off.
Yeah, some of the it wasn't exactly made for a film, but it ends up being a short little film. Somebody did one from the Gaza Strip, the violence there about a month ago, and it was all cell phone video, and it really took you right to the front lines. And it's horrifying, but you're also seeing it from the guy holding his phone down there.
Exactly.
And it's incredible footage. I'm sure you guys see your fair share of all sorts of stuff.
I saw one at the Boston International Film Festival, and Independent Film Festival, and it was about opioid and heroin, and part of it was this guy on his phone, and he was filming himself, and by the end of the film he overdosed, he dies, but they had found all this footage, and it was just a great thing to weave into the whole story. And his wife said she felt he actually did that intentionally, that he was really concerned that it was going to happen, and he wanted a record.
Wow.
Wow, that's
crazy.
powerful stuff too. Huh? But all with the, it's amazing what the technology has allowed us to do. Well, we have flown through, guys. Final couple minutes here. Why don't we get to the reiterate here what's coming up on the 23rd, and we'll let you just get the word out one final time.
Because I forgot to mention, I wanted to tell you the Taste of Newburyport food stations. We're very excited. So
nothing ropes people in like food, right?
Here we go. So it's kind of cool. We have a little bit of of everything. So Port Tavern, for example, is donating these pretzel bites. They have really delicious, and Chococo is doing the whoopie pies.
Wow.
But we came up with this fun idea, and Rich Dale's is going to donate hot dogs, and they're 25-cent hot dogs, but they're going to be free.
Wow.
Famous
Yay.
downtown Newburyport.
Newburyport staple.
Iconic
Staple.
Rich Dale. So
Did you
we're
see
pretty
the
excited.
you see the woman in Philadelphia who got hit with? I shouldn't be laughing. It's not. She got hit with the hot dog from the Phillies mascot.
No.
You got to look up this story.
Okay.
It was in the news today. It may even be on the night leaders tonight. I don't know. She was in the stands, and the Philly Fanatic. If anybody's seen that wild mascot, the big green, has like a slingshot or a gun sort of thing. They wrap up the hot dogs in tinfoil and duct tape and shoot them into the crowd. And I can't stop laughing. It's terrible. She got hurt. It's a terrible story. I'm very sorry. She's okay, but she's going to survive. But she had a bad shoulder, so she couldn't whack the hot dog out of the way.
And
So the hot dog comes flying at her. She can't get her arm up. Hits her right in the eye. Big black eye.
Oh, man.
She was laughing as she told the story too, because of course everybody's thinking she's going to sue the Philadelphia Phillies, but I think she's too big of a fan for that. That's the.
It still could happen. The right lawyer
It still could
get a hold
happen.
of her later this
I'm sure
week.
she's getting plenty of phone calls on that.
So no slingshots can be brought in Saturday night.
That's right.
Banning
Thanks.
slingshots.
No,
Yeah,
no
good
slingshots.
idea.
Slinging hot dogs.
And the Philly Fanatic no longer allowed.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the rule. So
Good.
Saturday, 7 o'clock.
Sorry to derail you. Yes.
No, that's fine. This is so fun. And to buy tickets, you would go on our website, which is newburyportfilmfestival.org.
All right.
Or
There
come
you
that
go.
night, and we'll sell tickets at the door.
And stay tuned for new website, new logo, new Twitter handle.
On Sunday, I guess. We go live on Sunday.
Unless any, you give yourself some room for
Okay.
any delays with these things. But good luck to you.
Thank
Sounds
you.
great.
Thank you.
The Newburyport Documentary Fest will be the new, work that into your new Twitter handle. Will be all good. We'll follow you. We'll retweet you, all that
Great.
stuff. So
Appreciate it.
very good. And let's see, we got another 30 seconds. And the other thing was the big September. We'll talk to you maybe before
I
September.
hope so.
But for those of you who
will
are thinking,
be back, we hope.
yeah, any like points of things to be watching for ahead of the big Newburyport
Yes,
Documentary
actually,
Film Fest?
one other thing. In August, we're going to do something new this year. So we're going to have a free event, probably at the Grog. We're still working that out. But it'll be a night you come in, free cash bar, free food, and we're going to show all our trailers.
Wow, that's fun.
You'll see. It's
So you
like,
get a sense of what we're
like-
showing this
Yeah.
year once we've decided, and be able to decide what you think you want to carve out time that when the festival.
That's
comes
actually a
around.
really
yeah.
cool idea.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. Who came up with that idea?
Joanne.
I think it was
Sure.
me. Okay, I did.
Very
All right.
modest, Joanne.
I've been thinking about it for years. I finally convinced him.
Excellent. All right. Well, good luck to you guys. Have a great summer. Hopefully, you guys can get some time for yourselves at some point. But
Yeah, we do. We do.
you're doing all right on that front. All right. Again, that's Joanne Morris and James Sullivan of the Newburyport Documentary Fest. A busy summer ahead for these guys, and we appreciate them joining us again. Return guests, which doesn't always happen here. So,
We're flattered.
Well,
Thank you.
Excellent. I appreciate it very much. Big thanks to Tyler Neufeld, radio producer today. David Kramer on the TV side. Thank you all for watching on the live stream on Port Media's live stream and on the television station. And of course, our loyal Joppa radio listeners every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 4 right here. Have a great weekend, everybody. It looks like tomorrow is going to be really nice. I think Saturday, maybe a little bit of rain, but you know what? Let's not complain. Summer is here. The warm weather is here, and I am all happy with that. Keep in mind how cold it was this winter, will you? Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday. Not sure the guest at this point. We'll work on that during the weekend, and it'll be somebody good, as always. As you saw here today. There you go. All right, my name is Drew Moholland. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Until next time, this is Afternoon Drive on Joppa Radio.
This is John Fian of the YWCA, and you are listening to WJOP-LP Newburyport, Joppa Radio 96.3 FM.
Joppa Radio 96.3 FM would like you to know, please attend the next meeting for Support the Pink House on the last Wednesday of each month, starting at 6:30 at Pitta Hall on Plum Island, and find out the progress being made. For details, visit the website supportthepinkhouse.com.
It's wonderful, it's marvelous. You should care for me. It's awful nice, paradise is what I love to see. You made my life so glamorous. You can't blame me for feeling amorous. Oh, it's wonderful, it's marvelous that you should care for me. It's wonderful, it's marvelous that you should care for me. It's awful nice, it's paradise